Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the changes in 3.1 that have changed the guild tasks. The guild tasks got nerfed pretty large. Gems are down by 76%, and everything in general is down by about 20-ish%, though we do now get diamonds and a little bit of jewels in there as well. But yeah, overall it has been a very large hit. The main reason for this reduction was due to the 4x speed. Now that mobile finally has 4x speed, they basically adjusted all of the rates for resources according to that. The only problem with this is similarly guild tasks has a limited amount that you can really do per week. And with these changes, it does make gems and a few other resources pretty scarce compared to what they were, but most notably gems. So in this video, we're going to be going over what exactly all these changes were, as well as just refreshing everyone on basically what every single method is to obtain gems. As this current moment in time, you do definitely want to be extremely frugal with any gems that you do have. They may make changes in the future based on the feedback from the community and everything. As this current moment in time, the best thing we could do is just use them responsibly with the ones we currently have. So let's refresh everyone what the previous tasks were. These right here are the previous tasks. As you can see, we used to get 590 gems, 42 event keys, and 5 maps. 360 glory and 36 gem keys, 236 glory keys, 5,900 souls, and 640 gold keys, and then 160 glory keys. What the tasks now are is everything right here. Also, one thing real quick before we go and see this, a shout out to Leah as well as everyone else in the community for helping gather all this information. She was the one who compiled all this and made it look all nice. So go thank her the next time you see her. Anyways, here is the table going over all of the current tasks. As you can see over here is the rank as far as which one it is, the first, second, third, so on and so forth. All the costs for the gold cost for every single task is exactly the same, but as you can see from the previous thing, as well as the little summary at the bottom that we're about to show, it has been reduced though as far as the actual payout. Cost is the same, payout is lower. As you can see, it's been reskilled. We now have things like shards and diamonds, which are good. We do need more of them, but it is at the cost of other resources. The most notable one of which, of course, is gems. You saw earlier 590 gems down there. Now it is only 140. So it took a really large hit. And here are the actual rates of change that have occurred. Gold keys are now down by 155. This is a little bit annoying, though I kind of understand this one, mainly because gold keys prior were basically how the original brown tasks were, is you'd almost get enough gold from the brown tasks themselves, from opening up every single member, opening up those gold keys, that they'd almost pay for themselves, not completely, but they'd give a really good majority of it back. So that I actually don't really mind that much, the gold key reduction. I see the reasoning behind that, particularly with the fact that there's so much more gold in the economy. As far as the glory is exactly the same, nothing to say about that. Glory keys are down by 60. That's not too big a deal because I believe they did increase the amount of glory keys slightly by legendary tasks. I have been noticing quite a few more glory keys in there, though I have been noticing less gem and event keys from them, but glory keys have been increased, so that one I don't mind as much. Of course, the main one that is absolutely devastating is the gems. Down 450, that is 76% reduction compared to before. Now only 140 per week is extremely small. It's the biggest hit and the one that's causing the most controversy, obviously, because that is the premium currency of the game, and this task was the main way of actually obtaining that resource for many players. Gem keys, of course, were buffed to compensate for the reduction in gems, though nowhere's near the amount of reduction that was actually done to it, so not really much of a benefit there. As far as event keys got a really huge hit as well. We're going to be really hard, like today when we needed to go open up a bunch of event keys. It's one of the reasons why I didn't end up opening all my keys to get even more copies, is those took a pretty big hit as well, and down to only 24 free per week, which is a relatively small amount. That means over the course of a month, you're only getting approximately 100 of them for free, and that's only about 1 legend every single time that you'll be able to get from that, so a pretty big reduction in that as well. And as far as souls, not really too big a deal getting 650 souls. Most people could care less if they get 650 souls. That's like a few minutes of farming, if even that. Some people can farm that in a minute if they have a bunch of Ferrous Rods. App's exactly the same, and of course now we have the shards and diamonds, which are a good addition, but at all the costs that we recently had, not really worth it. So let's just go over a few things related to all this. The first thing is actually, let's go over legendary tasks. Legendary tasks were reworked too. I don't believe we have data yet as far as what they were reworked to, but essentially what happened with these is 2 of the drop tables were nerfed and 1 of the drop tables were buffed. For any of you that don't know, or it's pretty self-explanatory with the legendary tasks, but there's basically 3 different drops that occur. That's pretty easy to tell. But there's 3 completely different tables. A lower range table, a mid-range table, and the higher end table. I forget which one exactly was the one that got buffed and the 2 that got nerfed. But essentially what you need to know is Legends and Mythic still have the same drop rate. And 2 of the tables got nerfed, 1 of them got buffed. So you can see here, we only got 1 gem key, 1 event key, very small, but that's a lot more glory than what we would normally receive. Prior, it was only a 500, I believe, was the highest that you could possibly get. And if we go into our other tasks, you can see, as I just mentioned, the chance of getting a legend or a mythic is still exactly the same, but the other 2 drop tables are lower. So we get all that. And as far as the rest of the legendary tasks, I still haven't seen any gems. I'm not quite sure if there are gems even anymore in these tasks. And as you can see, that gem key was the one that ends up getting buffed. So that was the nerf table, and that was the nerf table. And let's see, and there you can see the event, or the glory key was the one that was buffed. That is way above average from what that normally gives, but we're only getting 1 gem key and 1 event key from it. So in other news, ways to get gems, because obviously it's going to be a lot harder to keep that number up, and that is going to start to slowly go down over time unless they make other changes to the game. So how to get gems: tribute every single hour. That is a thing that can give gems, particularly in late game. I believe we'll get, let's see, you get, the amount of gems you get is however many tributes you get -1. So if you get like a 5 tribute, that's 4 gems. If you get a 10 tribute, that's 9. As you saw right there, we got an 8 tribute, so we got 7. That's one way to get gems. Another really weird way to get gems, even though it's not really going to give you that much, is occasionally on defend. Whenever your team gets a 7 times cascade, you will end up getting 1 gem from that. That doesn't really give that many, but you know, over time that can start to give a few per week. Over here we have the gold keys and glory keys can both drop gems. Don't actually spend your glory on glory keys, but as you can see right there, we got 3 gems. Generally, it's every 100 gold keys you open will give you about 1 gem. That's actually really lucky, getting 3 gems off of a 50 gold key drop. And similarly, glory keys will also drop those as well. Hopefully it dropped 1. Yeah, there we go. And then we got 4 from opening those 50 glory. So that's another location. Another one is the treasure hunt minigames. This is probably one that people might start actually using now. Generally in late game, people don't really bother with the treasure hunt minigame anymore. But given the slight change to gems, at least at this current moment in time, it could be worthwhile to some people to actually start doing this from now on. As far as any method in the game that perpetually can gain you gems, treasure hunt surprisingly is the best method for obtaining gems. The absolute most optimal way is do treasure hunt, and then every bit of gold that you get from the treasure hunt put into gold keys, and then to save the rest of your resources for whatever they're used for, like glory for the event packs, and just open up the keys that you end up receiving. But generally what you're going to be aiming for now, since you're trying to get as many gems as possible if you were to be playing this, would be the goal of getting as many green chests as possible. As you can see over there, green chest is the first chest that has the capability of being able to drop a gem. So it is generally the best thing to stop at if you are trying to maximize on the amount of gems you're going to be getting. It's perfectly fine if you keep going, but you want to get as many green chests as you possibly can onto the board. Anything less than that will not actually yield you any gems. But we'll just go and get through the rest of this map. Doesn't really matter if we focus too hard on it. Generally, if you are one of many players that have just a absurd amount of maps, I think we had like, what, 2,500 something? It's best just to go through them as quickly as possible. You don't really have to take your time, mainly because with 4 times speed, with how much that actually increases the board movement speed, you're better off just basically as soon as you just see something, just take it immediately. Don't really think through it, mainly because, unless you want to enjoy it, of course. But if you're doing it from a purely trying to gain resource perspective, you're going to want to rush through these as quickly as possible. just to claim the reward and to get to the objective of as many green chests as possible. Things like that you actually don't want to take unless you're really trying to go far, like into vaults and stuff like that. Mainly because it's just going to get in the way more so than it's really going to help. It's basically reducing more resources than you're going to gain. As you can see right here, off the green chest, we will be able to see some gem drops, hopefully. And, of course, we get unlucky for the video and get literally 0. Although we did get an arcane right there, even though I clicked through it real quick. So at least we got the arcane. But, of course, I would show it during the video and get unlucky and get 0. The drop rate for gems are exactly the same. That's just pure unluckiness right there. That we would open like 7 or 8 of the green chests and still get none. But anyways, that's pretty much a good majority of the ways that you get gems. Of course, the main one was nerfed. The other methods are somewhat okay, but don't really give as much as they used to. One thing to note, even though it's technically not a way of obtaining gems, one thing that you can do, which I've already done, and I'm pretty sure many guilds are going to be doing, is reduce your minimum for your guild as far as how far you do the sentinels. I am a guild that used to enforce a max sentinel requirement for the guild. Now we are reducing down to 3. We might just even completely abolish it, but I think 3 is kind of nice. Just because it gives you a little bit extra stats, but it doesn't really burn through your gems. Getting it all the way up to level 5 burns through an additional 300 gems per week. And now, of course, since we're getting so many less, it is no longer viable to do that. So that will end up saving you a very, very large portion, just not upgrading your sentinels. You could even stop one level shorter if you wanted to, and that would give you an additional 40 gems per week. Though in bracket 1, I don't believe you could really go any lower than level 3, mainly because you kind of need that stat line just to be able to compete, particularly if people are still going to be leveling them to 5. You're going to need these little bit of extra stats just so you and everyone in your guild has those that little bit of advantage just to be able to make sure you're not completely understated compared to the enemy. But anyways, yes, that is the nerf. It is a quite unfortunate nerf, but there it is. For reference one last time, I'll also be linking it in the description for any of you that just want to re-reference it in the future or to supply to the discussion that has been occurring on it. But yeah, here are all of the tasks now. It's definitely quite a bit of reduction, but that is where it currently stands. Will it change in the future? Who knows, but we'll have to work with what we have for now. Anyways, that'll wrap it up for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, and we'll see where things are in the future with all this. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.